May 29th, 1453. Dawn breaks over the ancient walls of Constantinople, the once impregnable heart of the Byzantine Empire. For 53 days, the city has endured relentless bombardment, its triple-layered Theodosian walls cracked and crumbling under the thunder of massive Ottoman cannons. Inside, Emperor Constantine, the 11th Palaiologos, clad in purple imperial robes stained with dust and blood, rallies his exhausted defenders, Greeks, Genoese, Venetians, numbering fewer than 8,000 against an Ottoman horde of over 80,000. Outside, young Sultan Mehmed II, just 21, surveys his lines from a command tent, his eyes fixed on the prize that has eluded conquerors for centuries. As the sun rises, Ottoman horns blare, and waves of janissaries surge forward in a final, furious assault. Breaches widen, defenders fall back street by street. Constantine charges into the fray, sword in hand, vanishing amid the chaos. His body never found. By midday, the crescent banners of the Ottomans fly over the Hagia Sophia, and the city that withstood Arabs, Avars, and Crusaders falls at last. This is no mere conquest. It's the death knell of the Roman legacy, the triumph of a new empire, and a turning point that reshapes the world, spurring the Renaissance, redrawing trade routes, and heralding the end of the Middle Ages. Welcome to Vestige Files, where we unearth the pivotal moments that shaped history. This is the story of the fall of Constantinople, a tale of ambition, innovation, and desperation that bridged eras and continents. To comprehend this cataclysmic clash, we must rewind to the early 15th century, when a fading empire clung to survival amid the rise of a formidable foe. In the 1400s, the Byzantine Empire, heir to ancient Rome, was a shadow of its former glory. Founded in 330 AD by Emperor Constantine the Great, who renamed Byzantium as Constantinople, it had flourished as a center of Christianity, trade, and learning, its walls repelling invaders for over 1,000 years. But centuries of wars, internal schisms, and plagues had eroded its power. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 saw Western knights sack the city, establishing a Latin empire that fragmented Byzantine holdings. Michael VIII Palaiologos reconquered Constantinople in 1261, but the empire never recovered fully. By the mid-14th century, the Black Death ravaged its population, killing up to 60% in some areas, while civil wars between rival claimants weakened its armies. Territory shrank to the city itself, parts of the Peloponnese under the despotate of Morea, and scattered islands. Constantinople's economy, once thriving on silk, spices, and tolls from the Bosphorus Strait linking the Black Sea to the Mediterranean, faltered as Italian merchants from Genoa and Venice dominated trade through privileged enclaves like Galata. The city's population dwindled to around 50,000 by 1453, a fraction of its peak 500,000, with vast tracts inside the 14-mile circuit of walls lying abandoned or farmed as fields. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Turks, emerging from Anatolia in the late 13th century under Osman I, built a dynamic empire blending Turkish nomadism with Persian administration and Islamic zeal. By the 15th century, they controlled much of the Balkans and Anatolia, their armies fueled by the Devshirme system, conscripting Christian boys from conquered lands, converting them to Islam, and training them as elite Janissary infantry. Sultan Murad II expanded Ottoman reach, defeating European crusaders at Varna in 1444 and Kosovo in 1448, securing Thrace and Bulgaria. But internal strife plagued them too. Murad abdicated in 1444 for his son Mehmed II, only to return amid rebellions. Mehmed, born in 1432 to Murad and a slave concubine, was educated in classics, sciences, and warfare, speaking multiple languages including Greek and Latin. Ascending fully in 1451 at age 19 after Murad's death, Mehmed dreamed of fulfilling the Islamic prophecy of conquering Constantinople, the red apple symbolizing ultimate victory. As historian Roger Crowley notes, Mehmed declared to his viziers, "The Gaza Holy War is our basic duty, as it was in the case of our fathers. Constantinople is in the middle of our domains. It encourages our enemies and the wicked. To prepare, he built Rumelihisar fortress on the European side of the Bosphorus in 1452, mirroring Anadoluhisar on the Asian shore, choking Byzantine supply lines and asserting control over Black Sea trade. On the Byzantine side, Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos, born in 1405, inherited a throne of ruins in 1449. The last of the Palaiologos dynasty, he was a seasoned soldier, having governed Morea, where he rebuilt defenses like the Hexamilion Wall across the Isthmus of Corinth. Desperate for aid against the Ottomans, Constantine pursued union with the Western Church, formalized at the Council of Florence in 1439 under his brother John VIII. This promised Catholic help in exchange for Orthodox submission to papal authority, but it sparked riots in Constantinople, where many viewed it as heresy. Anti-unionists like Genetios Scholarios, a monk and scholar, decried it as the pollution of the Latin dogmas. Western Europe, fractured by the 100 Years' War, ending in 1453, and the Wars of the Roses offered scant support. Pope Nicholas V sent Cardinal Isidore of Kiev with 200 archers and funds for wall repairs, while Genoa dispatched Giovanni Giustiniani Longo, a professional condottiero, with 700 men. Venice promised a fleet but delayed. Other powers like Hungary and Aragon sent token aid. Constantine's forces totaled about 7,000 to 8,000 defenders, 5,000 Greeks and 2,000 to 3,000 foreigners, including Venetians under Alvise Dieto and Cretans. They manned the formidable Theodosian walls, triple lines of moats, outer walls, and inner ramparts spanning 5.5 miles on the land side, plus sea walls along the Golden Horn and Marmara. A massive chain boom across the Golden Horn protected the harbor, guarded by 26 ships. Mehmed's preparations were meticulous. He assembled an army of 80,000 to 100,000, including 5,000 to 10,000 Janissaries, irregular Bashi bazooks, and Anatolian Sipahis cavalry. His navy comprised 126 vessels, 18 galleys, 20 horse transports, and smaller craft. Crucially, he employed gunpowder technology, hiring Hungarian engineer Orban, who cast the massive Basilica cannon, 27 feet long, firing 1,200-pound stone balls capable of shattering stone walls from a mile away. Orban had offered his services to Constantine first, but the cash-strapped emperor couldn't afford him. Mehmed paid lavishly, stationing 14 batteries of cannons along the walls. To prevent relief from Morea, he dispatched Turahan Bey with forces to breach the Hexamilion. By early April 1453, Ottoman troops marched from Edirne, Adrianople, their path cleared by engineers who built bridges and roads. As chronicler Michael Critoboulos recorded Mehmed's address, "The city is strong only in appearance. Its defenders are few and divided. Tensions mounted. A Venetian ship sunk by Rumelihisar's guns in November 1452 escalated hostilities. On April 2nd, Mehmed encamped before the walls, offering terms: surrender for safety or face destruction. Constantine refused, replying via envoy, "The city is in God's hands." The siege commenced on April 6, 1453, as Ottoman artillery opened fire, the basilica's roar echoing across the Bosphorus, targeting the Mesotakion section near the Lycus River, the wall's weakest point due to lower ground. Mehmed's guns pounded relentlessly, firing 7 times daily. Stone balls demolished parapets. Defenders, under Giustiniani's command at the land walls, repaired breaches nightly with wooden palisades, barrels of earth, and debris. Constantine coordinated from the imperial palace, Blachernay, while Lucas Notaras, the Megisdu, oversaw sea defenses. Early assaults on April 7th saw Bashi bazooks charge but retreat under arrow fire and Greek fire. Incendiary projectiles hurled from siphons. On April 11th, a major breach formed at St. Romanus Gate, but Giustiniani's Genoese crossbowmen repelled attackers. Mehmed rotated troops using miners to tunnel under walls. Byzantines countered with countermines, flooding or smoking out Ottomans, led by Scottish engineer Johannes Grant. Naval warfare intensified. On April 12th, the Ottoman fleet attempted to force the Golden Horn, but failed against the boom chain and Byzantine galleys. A turning point came on April 20th. 4 relief ships, 3 Genoese and 1 Byzantine, battled through 80 Ottoman vessels in a 4-hour melee, aided by wind shifts, reaching the harbor amid cheers. Mehmed, furious, executed his admiral Baltoglu Suleiman, but spared him after crew protests. In a stroke of genius on April 22nd, Mehmed ordered 70 to 80 ships hauled overland from the Bosphorus to the Golden Horn, using greased wooden tracks and oxen across a 2-mile route behind Galata. This bypassed the chain, threatening the sea walls. As eyewitness Niccolò Barbaro wrote, "This was a most astonishing feat to see ships being carried over dry land." Byzantines attempted a fireship attack on April 28th, but a traitor alerted the Ottomans. 40 attackers perished, their leader Giacomo Cocco's ship exploding. Assaults escalated. On May 7th, 30,000 Ottomans stormed the Messatikon, but were driven back after hours of fighting. Mehmed employed siege towers, but defenders toppled them with fire. Cannon fire continued, the basilica overheating and cracking by mid-May, repaired with iron bands. Food shortages gripped the city. Refugees swelled numbers, straining supplies. Religious divisions flared. The Church Union proclaimed on December 12, 1452, in Hagia Sophia alienated Orthodox hardliners like Gennadios, who prophesied doom. Omens abounded. A lunar eclipse on May 22nd fulfilled prophecies. Heavy rains flooded trenches. Mehmed convened a war council on May 26th. Hardliners like Saganas Pasha urged assault, while Grand Vizier Sandarla Halil Pasha, suspected of Byzantine sympathies, advised withdrawal. Mehmed opted for all-out attack, resting troops May 27th to 28th while bombarding walls. He promised 3 days' plunder to victors, rallying with speeches. "The city and the buildings are mine, but I resign to your valor the captives and the spoil." Inside, Constantine addressed defenders on May 28th. "If we fight bravely, we may hope for victory. Remember that you are fighting for your faith, your country, your families." Sentries manned posts. Women and children repaired walls. At 1:30 a.m. on May 29th, horns signaled the assault. Waves struck. First Bashi bazooks, absorbing casualties, then Anatolian regulars, finally Janissaries. Focus hit the Messatikon breach. Justiniani, wounded by a crossbow bolt or cannon shard, withdrew despite Constantine's pleas, demoralizing Genoese. A fatal blow. Ottoman troops exploited an unlocked Kirkaporta postern gate near Blachernae, pouring in. As Barbaro noted, the Turks entered through the little gate, and thus the city was taken. Defenders fragmented. Venetians fought at sea walls. Cretans held 3 towers until surrender. By dawn on May 29th, 1453, resistance collapsed. Constantine, shedding imperial regalia to fight as a common soldier, charged a breach near St. Romanus, slain amid his guards, his head later presented to Mehmed. The city fell after 53 days. Ottomans surged through streets, sacking for 3 days as promised. Hagia Sophia, refugee for thousands, was stormed. Priests slain at altars, women and children enslaved. Chronicler Ducas lamented, "The infidels poured in like a flood, pillaging, killing, capturing. Up to 4,000 died, 30,000 to 50,000 enslaved, including notaris and family. Later executed on suspicion of disloyalty, and Gennadios, whom Mehmed installed as Orthodox Patriarch to control Christians. Mehmed entered triumphantly, halting excessive destruction, proclaiming, "What a city we have given over to plunder and destruction." He converted Hagia Sophia to a mosque, adding minarets, while preserving some churches. Losses. Byzantines suffered 4,000 dead, Ottomans 10,000 to 20,000. Mehmed repopulated the city, now Istanbul, with Turks, Greeks, Armenians, and Jews, rebuilding walls, aqueducts, and markets. He assumed the title Kaiser-i Rum, Caesar of Rome, claiming Byzantine legacy, fostering a multicultural capital that grew to 700,000 by 1600. The fall ended the Byzantine Empire, last remnant of Rome, shifting power to the Ottomans, who conquered Morea by 1460, Trebizond in 1461, and advanced into Europe, besieging Vienna in 1529. It spurred the Renaissance. Byzantine refugees like Cardinal Bessarion fled to Italy with Greek manuscripts, reviving classical learning. Scholars like Manuel Chrysoloras taught Greek in Florence. Texts fueled humanism, influencing figures like Leonardo da Vinci. Economically, Ottoman control of the Straits disrupted Italian trade, prompting searches for new routes. Portugal's Vasco da Gama reached India in 1498. Columbus sailed west in 1492, partly to bypass Ottomans. As historian Stephen Runciman wrote, "The fall of Constantinople was a turning point in history. It destroyed the bulwark of Christendom. Religiously, it unified Orthodox under Ottoman millet system, while shocking Western Europe into failed crusades like Pius II's aborted effort in 1464. The event symbolized the end of the Middle Ages, ushering gunpowder empires and exploration's age. Human stories endured. Justiniani died of wounds in Chios. Orban perished when his cannon exploded. Survivors like George Francis, Constantine's chancellor, chronicled the horror. My soul is filled with sorrow. In Morea, Constantine's brothers Thomas and Demetrios fled, their descendants influencing European courts. Today, Istanbul's walls bear siege scars. Hagia Sophia, mosque then museum then mosque again, embodies layered history. The fall's legacy persists in Balkan nationalism, inspiring 19th century Greek independence. It highlighted technology's role, gunpowder over medieval forts, and cultural exchange amid conquest. Mehmed and Constantine symbolize ambition versus defiance. One building an empire, the other dying for a lost cause. Was the fall inevitable? A clash of declining versus rising powers? Or could Western aid have saved Byzantium? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this chronicle of Empire's End captivated you, hit that like button, subscribe to Vestige Files, and ring the bell for more stories of history's turning points.